Hey everyone, I am Amanda from amandarightnow.com and I am going to get started right away. I help writing and reading teachers discover how Reading and Writing Workshop can completely transform your teaching life and just simplify everything, help you differentiate your instruction. And I have a kitty here. I'm just petting her. She might distract the video a little bit, but today I am talking about how to motivate resistant writers, and I have a whole bunch of ideas. I have written a lot about this topic of motivating student writers on my website, amandarightnow.com. I have so many blog posts about this topic. So I have one about supporting students who hate writing. I have 50 ways to get kids begging to write more. I have a blog post called My Students Don't Write During Writing, supporting writers at all levels, 8 ways that teachers kill a love of writing. So I have written a ton about this topic. Why? Because I've struggled with it. I have students who are resistant writers. I teach 8th grade English in the Bay Area, and I for sure have 8th graders who do not want to write, and who finish early, and who, sit there and stare at a blank screen or a blank page for way too long, and they just really struggle. That's why I've written about this so much. So that's another reason I'm here, is because I think a lot of teachers want so desperately to help their students realize the importance of writing and want to motivate their students to write all genres. I mean, I think, if we've been teaching for even a year or two, that students get pretty motivated when you let them write whatever they want. So that is one way that you could increase motivation in your class. It's on my list, actually, is to let students write what they want. So if they want to write fictional short stories or books, let them. If you really, really, really have a class of unmotivated students, just allowing for more freedom of topic. And starting out, that way, and then kind of easing into the more academic writing assignments. So that's one idea for you. Another one that I really, I think is so important to talk about is that, and this is something that I've been telling myself a lot, is that you are enough. You are doing the best that you can, and you cannot save the world, and you can only do so much in the 180 days that you have this kid with you. And if you're a secondary teacher, you don't even have them all day. You only have them for like a tiny, tiny bit. And if you're showing up every day with a positive, energetic attitude towards writing and towards your students, you're doing amazing. Even if you have a class of very unmotivated middle or high schoolers. I mean, it's the age, right? So that is one of my suggestions, is to remember that you are enough and you are doing the best that you can. And I remind myself of this too. I actually have a poster that says you are enough in my classroom for my students and for me to remember this. The next way that you can motivate students is by listening. And what I mean is, one of the best parts about workshop that I've discovered doing workshop in my class is that you get to sit side by side with your students and have conferences, or think of them as conversations. So you get to sit side by side with them and ask them questions like, are you having a hard time with this? Like, what's going on? Why don't you want to write this? Or what's going through your mind? Like, talk out loud, and asking them questions to kind of dig a little deeper into why they're refusing to write or why they're stuck. And just the more questions, the better. And just sit. And if you have to sit in awkward silence with the student, do it. Just let that awkwardness settle in and just ask them questions about their experience with writing, and their hobbies, and just try and dig a little deeper into why they're resisting. And if you have a whole class of resistant writers, have these conversations with your entire class. Like, start a discussion about their experiences with writing, and allow catharsis, because I think, our students come to us from all different backgrounds and like many different experiences. And, some of them might have been embarrassed at some point in their past, and they're just scared to put themselves out there on paper, and they're worried, and they need a safe place. They need to know that they can trust you, that you're not going to call them out and talk about their horrible writing. And so staying really positive is so important. It's so important. And not embarrassing students. Kids are traumatized by teachers. They are. I've been traumatized by teachers. I think we all have. And so I'm like getting kind of emotional about it. We need to like be really careful about the things we say, and putting students on the spot, and, making them feel like belittling them for their lack of skills in their writing, especially in front of their peers. So listening, asking questions is so important. And then also telling students who the audience is, like who's going to read this. And that can really help, alleviate some stress too. Like if you're having students write personal stories from their life, and you want them to kind of take risks and write about things that they're not really comfortable sharing with their peers, then tell them that the audience is just you, the teacher, or maybe the audience is their peers, but they can have the choice to opt out of sharing their writing. Is it the community? Is it other classes? Are you going to share their writing on Google Classroom, or are you just going to say, I really want you to share this piece with someone important in your life, whether it's a friend or a family member. So just letting them know like who is the audience. And then I don't even know what number I'm on, by the way, so I'm just going to keep going. I have this giant list that I just seriously came up with like 10 minutes ago. So purpose. So why are you doing this? And like, I think a lot of teachers, part of the reason they're teaching certain types of writing is because these kids have to take a test. And so just being honest, like I want to prepare you so you feel confident during this test. And so you're going to learn the 5-paragraph essay, because that is the structure, and that will help you do well on this test. And like teaching them how to follow directions in a writing prompt on a test. So just being really open and honest about like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this type of writing? So for example, right now my students we're starting our TED Talk unit, and I talked a lot about how like speaking in front of a large group of people is kind of a requirement in many, many professions. Like my husband, he's an organic chemist, and he has to give talks about his research, and he doesn't like it, but he still has to do it. And teachers, we're talking in front of people all the time, and there's many different professions that my cat is being crazy, that that students are going to end up doing, and they need to be comfortable speaking in front of an audience. I mean, think about YouTube. Like if your students want to be YouTubers, they're going to need to be comfortable speaking in front of an audience. And I love when my students ask me, and I tell them to ask me, why are we doing this? Because I always have an answer, and it always applies. Either I'm being really honest and I'm saying, it's something I have to teach you because it's on our state standards, or you're going to be tested on it, or I'm applying it to the real world. And I'm saying, hey, in life, in high school, in college, you're going to have to give presentations. And so you need this experience. So just telling students the purpose behind why you are doing this. And I think students really appreciate that honesty. Another way to motivate students is with technology. So letting students type, especially students who are really, they have a hard time with their handwriting. Typing, letting them type, letting them use the voice memo app to talk what they're saying, what they're going to write. Letting students use different tools or apps to do their writing. And I know a lot of students are really into Wattpad, and there's all sorts of websites that students are writing, like fan fiction, things like that. So utilizing tech can really help and motivate some students. And I say some because not all students, you're not going to win every student over. It's just like, got to kind of get over it. You're not always going to motivate everyone because, many students are coming from you from many different experiences. Some students have been severely traumatized by their experiences with writing. Okay, or other reasons outside of school. You can also try new strategies to make writing more interesting. Having students write podcast scripts, having them write YouTube video scripts, having them write TED Talks. There's lots of really creative ideas online. It's crazy. Like Pinterest is awesome, but like just new and make writing. Make writing is a really cool new phenomenon that teachers are starting to learn about. It's awesome. If you've ever heard of Make Writing or Angela Stockman, you should go Google it. It's amazing. It's basically really motivating students who are more hands-on and letting them build their ideas and then write. So that is very motivating. And then teaching students about stamina and teaching students that when you start something new, it's hard to do it for a long period of time. Like when you first start learning how to run long distances, for example, like you can only run for 3 minutes before you're out of breath, and so it takes time to build up that stamina. And so comparing writing to playing the guitar, I mean, it takes time to build up those calluses, and having, taking time in the class period to say, we're going to take 5 minutes to build our writing stamina. We're going to write for 5 minutes straight. I want you to keep your pencil to the paper as long as you possibly can, the whole 5 minutes, even if what you write is so crappy, so sucky. That's another way to motivate students, is by using like cuss words. So whenever I say crap or suck, kids are like, huh? Oh my goodness. They get really, like, oh, you said a bad word, Miss Werner. And I'm just like, okay. Okay. Charts are really, really helpful. So charts for like what students can write about, what they can do when they're done. I have tons of charts on my website. If you just search charts, or writing charts in Google or on my website, you can find lots of different charts you can use in your classroom to help students know what their next steps are or what to do when they're stuck. And then empathizing, and I've talked a little bit about this already, but just really empathizing with students and how hard writing is. I mean, have you tried writing? Try writing in front of your students and you will see how hard it is. Try doing what you're asking your students to do and you will realize how hard it is. So empathizing with students is so powerful, because then you start to realize, wow, like I can see why no one's motivated to do this. Neither am I. And then giving students breaks. That is so important. So just saying, could you please just write to this line and then you will have a break, doing that to an individual. And then what can they do during their break? They can put their head down. They can draw. They can go to a meditation station. They could read a book. They could go take a walk outside. Just giving breaks and rewarding students for their efforts with breaks. Sometimes if I'm like, okay, we need to write for 15 minutes today. If we can write silently for 15 minutes, I'll let you all get on your phones or play games on the Chromebooks. I mean, I do that sometimes because it's very motivating. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just avoid killing a love of writing. Try to avoid using words like assignment, essays, tests, grades, all of these things. Like, let students use pens, fancy pens. Don't make them use pencils all the time. That scratchy noise, that bothers me too. Okay, I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, I would love if you could comment. I'm going to comment with a bunch of blog posts that are related to this topic. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, definitely ask me questions. Tell me how you motivate your writers. How do you get those students who refuse to write more and to participate in your class? Are there things you're doing that you could add to this video? I would love it if people commented and told me some more ideas and other teachers, so we can all support each other. Okay, thanks for joining me. I'll be back next Tuesday. Bye.